Hey guys, DC Network here, coming at you with another video. 2 years. It's been over 2 years since the Ben 10 reboot concluded, and well over a year and a half since we really got any updates from Duncan Rolu on what is happening next for Ben 10. We all know that there is a 6th series in development. It was even confirmed 2 months ago by someone over at Cartoon Network. But the real speculation over the past 2 years has been, what is the next step for Ben 10? What are we going to be getting? And really the three things that I feel like most people have been focused on are A, are we getting a Ben 10 sequel series to the reboot? And in my opinion, the answer to that question is no, and I've said this in the past. If we were getting a Ben 10 reboot sequel series, it would have been announced by now, and in all honesty, the Ben 10 reboot after around season 3 did not do all that well from a merchandise sales perspective, which was the whole point of the reboot in the first place, to sell more toys. The second option, which people have talked about, is, oh, are we returning to the original continuity? Which I think is not the most likely scenario to happen, but I do think that there is an outside chance we do return to the original continuity. And lastly, the third option that we have, or at least the third logical option, is just a brand new reboot, a brand new take on Ben 10. Now, regardless of which option they choose, out of the latter two, which I think are the more likely options, I've started to think about this lately. Where will this series premiere? Where will this show air? Obviously, you might be thinking to yourself, DC Network, it's going to be on Cartoon Network, but I would question that and say, is the next Ben 10 series really going to be on Cartoon Network? And my answer to that question would be no, I don't think it's going to be on Cartoon Network, and hear me out, I'll explain myself. So as we all know, Warner Bros. Discovery has been prioritizing Adult Swim over Cartoon Network lately. First, we had the expansion of Adult Swim, now starting at 7 p.m. as opposed to the usual 8 p.m., and later it will be starting at 6 p.m. We're going to have the whole checkered pass block. We had shows like Unicorn Warriors Eternal move over to Adult Swim, which just concluded last week. And we have My Adventures with Superman moving to Adult Swim, which by the time this video is up, the first episode of that series will be out. So clearly they're prioritizing Adult Swim. They even came out and publicly said that they view the future of animation at the company in the young adult space, and that is going to be all on Adult Swim and Max. That's going to be the home to these series. So with that being said, it only logically makes sense that Ben 10 would be a part of this. Ben 10 has always been a series that has drawn in an older audience. Yes, it is being targeted for those 6 to 11 year olds, that 6 to 11 demographic, but it's always drawn in an older age group as well. Couple that with the fact that we know Cartoon Network Studios right now is working on the next iteration of Ben 10. Jason DeMarco, the head of the action and anime department over at the studio, has said as such. He said they were working on the next Ben 10. 2 months ago we talked about this on the channel, and he later pulled back his tweet. So okay, if the action and anime department is working on Ben 10, and Ben 10 has been a series that's always drawn in an older audience, plus on top of that the prioritizing of Adult Swim content over Cartoon Network content, it just seems logical to me that the next Ben 10 is going to be on Adult Swim. It's not going to be on Cartoon Network. We're not going to have another comedy oriented Ben 10. We know that for a fact, given that the action and anime department are working on the show. That department is the department that's working on the next Ben 10, so it's not going to be another Ben 10 reboot. So if we take all of that and just think about it for a moment, okay, what does that leave us as to what is the next Ben 10? What is this show going to be about? And again, I go back to what I said earlier in the video. I really think it's either we're returning to the original continuity, or we're going to have a brand new reboot, a brand new take on Ben, but in an action-oriented setting. Here's the thing when we think about it. Adult Swim is adding this checkered pass block, right? They're going to be adding these old classics to the schedule daily. To me, it would make a lot of sense to tie this all into the next Ben 10. You have all the classic series air on this checkered pass block, and imagine then all of a sudden you're watching classic Ben 10 at 6 p.m. and then at like 7, 8 p.m. they have this new Ben 10 that's continuing that story. It's continuing from where Omniverse left off. I feel like that would be perfect, but even if they don't go down that route, I truly believe that the next Ben 10 is going to be following an older Ben, and I talked about this a little bit in my recent Ask DC Network video. I just feel like it makes too much sense. If we're trying to target an older audience with this series, I'm not saying that young kids can't enjoy this show as well, because it's going to be something for all ages to enjoy, but if we're targeting an older audience, I feel like older audiences are going to relate to an older Ben much better than they would a 10-year-old Ben. We were already there. We've been there, done that twice. We've seen 10-year-old Ben. We've even seen Ben at 15, 16, 16. He's 16 in Omniverse, but in my head canon, at the end of Omniverse, I believe he is at the age of 18. So let's just hypothetically speaking say he's 18 at the end of Omniverse. We've seen teenage Ben already. We want to see what's happening with adult Ben, whether that be Ben 10,000 or a young adult take on Ben. That remains to be seen. In my opinion, it makes more sense to bring Ben back in the young adult space as a young adult himself, because the audience will be able to relate to him more. They'll be able to relate to this character more than a 10-year-old character. And at the same time, real quick side note, the one thing I never understood about Pokemon and shows like that constantly keep their characters at that 10-year-old age group because they want to keep it the same age as the audience, little kids look up to the kids that are older than them, right? Little kids look up to, 10-year-old Timmy is looking up to 15-year-old Jake because, oh, he's cool, he's a teenager. So if you have an older Ben, kids are going to look up to that character as well and be like, look at how cool this guy is. I want to be like him when I'm older. So I never really understood the whole, oh, they need to be young because young kids watch it argument, but that's besides the point. To get back on topic though, I really feel like, and I said this again in the AskDC Network video recently, I really feel like this next iteration of Ben 10 is going to tell us a lot about the company, because Warner Brothers Discovery could come out tomorrow and announce the next Ben 10 and he's 10 years old again. That's going to help them sell more toys because they're going to, market it towards these kids who are going to go out and buy action figures, right? That will help them sell more merchandise and will show that that's what they're caring about. That's what their priorities are. But if they come out and say, we're going to come out and make Ben as a 22-year-old or 23-year-old or 25-year-old, whatever the case may be, and it's going to be this much more serious take on Ben that's meant for older audiences. Yes, younger kids can enjoy it as well, but we're really targeting this towards the kids that grew up with the original Ben 10. That's going to tell me a lot about this company. It's going to show that their priorities are not to just sell merchandise, but they actually want to create good content as well. And I've said this so many times in the past, but in my opinion, if you create a good show, regardless of the age demographic you're targeting, whether it be 6-year-olds, 15-year-olds, or 20-year-olds, they will sell merchandise. The show will sell merchandise just because you created a quality show that people are falling in love with and are liking, that they're going to want to go out there and own a piece of that show. They're going to go out there and want to get action figures, Funko Pops, t-shirts, whatever. You know what I mean? If you create a good series, the sales and merchandise will follow. So I feel like this whole Ben 10 situation is really something to keep an eye on, because number one, I am fully convinced that it will be on Adult Swim. I do not think it will be on Cartoon Network. And number two, I'm leaning towards that it's going to be an older version of Ben. I think we're really going to see a young adult Ben, or at least an older teenager Ben. I don't think we're going to see Ben as a 10-year-old again. We could even see Ben 10,000, who knows? But I'm really looking forward to see what the future of Ben 10 holds, because this is my favorite franchise, as you guys know who have been watching this channel for a while. Ben 10 is my favorite franchise that Cartoon Network has ever come out with, has ever premiered on the channel. And I'm really curious to see what is the next step for Ben. Where are they going to take it? And I really do hope that we don't have to wait too much longer for that answer, because it's been over 2 years already. It'd be nice to hear what you're doing with one of your premier properties. What is the future of this franchise and what does it look like? Is it going to attract people like me to watch it, or is it going to be really targeting 10-year-olds again? Or 6 to 11-year-olds, I should say, as the Ben 10 reboot did. Anyways, let me know in the comment section below what you guys think about all this. You guys agree with me that you think the next Ben 10 series is going to be on Adult Swim, focused on a much more serious and older version of Ben? If you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to see more content like this from DC Network. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.